Well, how's it going? I'm Mark Duffy, welcome to my channel. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the new toys that Aputure Lighting just sent out to me. Oh yeah! Now, full disclosure, they're not paying me to do this, they're not asking me to say anything. These are all my opinions. They just sent the stuff out to me. That's how it works. So let's get into it. So what did this send me out? This sent me out the 200X, the 100D, the 60D, and our new softbox ranges, which includes the new light OctaDome 120, Lightbox 30 120, and Lightbox 6090. I think I've said them right. Yeah, pretty sure. I'll check. We might as well address it straight off the bat. If you're not interested in products that are made of plastic, these are not for you. These are the budget line of Aputure. So these are for creators like myself who are going to set them up in the studio and just set it and forget it, leave it there and never take it down. So all these products are designed with that in mind. And you can tell, first of all, in the fact that the 200X and the 100D do not come with cases. They come in the box and that's it. And for me, I'd much rather that. When I'm going on a shoot, I have a big case that I carry my lights in. I don't need any more cases. So I much prefer that. It's something that's not going to be cluttering up a corner in my studio. Now, I'm not someone who cares much if a light is made of majority plastic. Here is the Sony 135mm f1.8 and it's made majority of plastic, yet this thing is a beast. So when it comes to stuff like that there, I'm not too concerned about the housing in it. I'm more concerned about its output and is it any good to use? And I can tell you straight off, these are great lights. So we're going to talk about these lights as a trinity of lights, similar to the 16 to 35, the 24 to 70, 70 to 200 trinity of lenses. We're going to call these the trinity of lights from Aputure. You've kind of got everything covered with these lights. The fact that the 200X that I have here is bicolor means that I can do some nice creative kickers, kind of look as if I've got the sun coming in, and at certain times of the year the sun does come in the door of the studio and it does actually illuminate me like that for all of about 20 seconds until a cloud covers over, because I live in Ireland, of course. If you look between the 200X and the 100D, they're very similar in size, weight and usability. All these lights are extremely easy to use. They work on the Sidious link, which is just absolutely so handy to use. So you can see here on the phone, I can go right here and press onto my 100D, take it from 32% and blow my face right out of it up to 100%. I can turn it all the way down, bring it back to, what did I say, 32? It's a 31.14. Leave it at that. It's cool. Really, really easy to use. So that's one of the great features of it, is that you can be sitting right here, you can be looking at your screen, you can dim the light, you don't have to run around, you can control the lights. And for me, using strobe lights for my product photography and my portraiture, having a controller at hand and not running around the lights is it's an absolute godsend. So that's a real great thing. Best thing of all is the fact that the display on the 60D is actually on the side of it, so when you have it mounted up high, it's really easy to see what power it's at if you're not using the Sidious link, which happens. It's just times that you just don't need to go onto an app and you can just manually go 100%, 20%. One great feature of each of these lights is on the dials for either the power or in the 200X's case where you can change the actual color temperature. There is an option that if you click in the button, it will move in increments of 20%. So you can go from 0 to 20 to 40 to 60 to 100. Or in the case of the color temperature, you can go from 2700 to 3200 to whatever the next one was, to 5600 to 6500, and if there was one in between that as well. I don't remember all of the color temperatures because who cares? Something anyway. All of these lights are powered by a power block, which means that they can be smaller and lighter. The issue I had was that the 60D and the 200X that was sent to me had American connections to them, which was no problem at all. The power block is actually powered with a kettle lead, and I have tons of 4 meter long kettle leads, so I just used 2 of one I had myself. Another great thing as well is all of the power blocks can be hung directly off the light, even though they give you an awful lot of slack that you can just have it on the floor, but it means that you're not going to put any stress on that lead for it to break, which means, you know, it's a headache if it does. So all of these lights feature Bowens mount, which for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically at this stage, you can fairly say it's the universal adapter for modifiers for softboxes, etc. It's the equivalent of Arca Swiss when it comes to mounting plates on tripods. One great thing that I did notice on the 60D is that even though the element is really small, you'll see this big massive space around it, which means that it actually, even though it is such a small light, it will natively take the Bowens mount. I have had other lights in the past that I've clearly not spoke about on this channel because they didn't use the Bowens mount adapter. They used a smaller one with an included adapter for Bowens, but when you attach these heavy modifiers, they snap off and it's just not worth talking about. So that was one great thing. It was the one thing I was concerned about when I opened up the box about the 60D. I was concerned about mounting big modifiers on it. I would say as well, because of the mount that it has onto a light stand, I wouldn't feel comfortable putting on this 120 octabox. But it does work fine with putting on a strip box or the actual soft box itself, the 60x90. Hey, I think lastly on the lights, we need to just talk about the brightness and color accuracy. Now, okay, I know if we're talking about color accuracy, you know, I have these two lights at least, you know, set completely different. But if I was to set them to match, you can see that they actually do a great job at that. Now, I'm not a Gerald Undone, so I don't know. To my eyes, they look good enough. I think they look good enough. 200X is possibly on a little bit of the cool side, but because it is a bicolor, I don't really mind, because as you saw at the start of this video, and I'm going to switch back now as well, I'm going to use it for the tungsten, just for the variety of it. So it does feel, just as I'm looking here, it does feel like it's a little cooler than the 100D, but I don't really mind that. You can let that be the creative thing if you do use it as a kicker. Then again, if you use it as a key light, it could warm up the kicker if you use the 100D or the 60D. But for me, for video, for doing these YouTube videos, I think it is good enough. I did a quick exposure test on these lights just for power output. I set the exposure to the 200X, didn't change anything between the other two lights. The 200X is about 1/3 more powerful than the 100D, and then the 100D is about 1/3 more powerful than the 60D, which, to be honest, judging on their names, you'd expect that. So they lived up to that standard as well. The 60D, for its size, its convenience, the fact that you can use batteries on it and travel with it, like, that is a powerful little unit. And it's quiet. It's considerably quiet. The 200X is disappointingly loud. That's one thing I would say about it. If I had that as a key light right now, the microphone on my camera would pick it up. The 100D is quieter than the Godox lights I've been previously using, and the 60D is very quiet. I'm pleasantly surprised by that. So it's really small, it's pretty damn powerful, and it doesn't make any noise. Like it's a win. It really is a win. That one blew my mind. That one blew me away. The other two is what I expected, but the 60D, total surprise. Like I said, the only thing I don't like about it is how you mount it onto a light stand. It's not great. It just doesn't. It's not as secure as the other two, because the other two are natively built into it. Just screwing that in, I don't mind that if you're not going to be using a massive softbox, but if you're going to be using a softbox, yeah, it's its only downfall. It really is its only downfall. It's just its connection to the light stand, which, you know, but it's handy. Like, look at the way I have this set up. I have this studio set up where I have my key light right here. I've got the kicker, and then I have the 60D set up ready to shoot some products. And it's really good for that. And it's plenty bright that you can, okay, you're not going to get f14 at 1/200 of a second, but that's what strobe lights are for. But for video lights, you can easily get, you can do, like, this is a dark studio, so I can do long exposures for my product photography. If you go onto my gear page on Instagram, Mark Duffy Gear, all my latest photos have been shot with these lights, and that's how good they are. Okay, I've spoken enough about the lights. Now let's talk about softboxes. Each of these softboxes come with a carry case. They come completely flat, so it's really easy to transport. You've got 2 levels of diffusion for the front. You've got an inert diffusion as well, and a grid. Really great options. The only problem with these is they're built out of rods. Oh my God, the rods. Like, what? 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 You do what with it? I've spoken to a few others who received these soft boxes, and they had just as much trouble as I had putting them together. The strip box was good. I tell you, this 60 by 90 was the easiest to put on, and you will see here that I struggled to put them together. I just about got this Octabox put together. I went to take it apart, and I couldn't get it apart for this video, and so I just had to leave it open. I can't. I literally, honestly, it feels like you're going to break it. I was supposed to take this apart, put it back together and do a whole, oh my good God. And then the strength that you need to push it down, get the tension in it so the rod can release out. Just no. Which then, you know, when you think about it, it does play in the fact that these are designed to be set up once and left in an area. So to save costs, they've gone down the rod route, but the rod route is not fun. It's not fun, I'm telling you. The quality of the material is fantastic. The build quality, everything. The fact that each and every one of these come with 2 sets of diffusion. So you get a heavier set of diffusion and a lighter set of diffusion for the front panel. I'd never come across that before in any of the soft boxes I have, or any of the umbrellas that I have. You always just get one, and it's quite a light diffusion. So I currently have the heavier set of front diffusion on all of these soft boxes, but I could have gone with the lighter one, and the lighter one is what you find on umbrellas and soft boxes standard. So having that heavier diffusion, I quite like it. For anyone who doesn't understand the importance of a grid, here's a demonstration. Basically, it focuses the light into a tunnel vision that only its direction it's been pointed at is where the light goes to. As well as that, with the grid, because there's no extra spill, when the light hits the subject, the fall off is much quicker, which means that it dissipates. As soon as it hits my face, it stops illuminating things behind me. Really good if you want to have your subject well lit and not affect the background. You stick a grid on your lights. All these lights are gridded right now for this video. When I was putting together this video and building up some of the B-roll, I did video the 3 soft boxes on the 60D and was just twirling the light stand, and you'll see the difference in the depths of these soft boxes. But pay attention to the OctaDome, and this will really show you how important it is that they were designing these for the creator at home in mind. So people like me who don't have a great big studio, this studio is 13 foot by 11 foot, so I don't have the greatest of space, and it's not very deep. But the fact that it's not very deep but it has a wide opening means it gives a great spread of light. So if you don't use the inner panel and you use the lighter diffusion to the front with no grid, you could really light up your room and have it actually act as massive window light as well. So if you wanted to have that nice airy look, you can do that. Use the extra diffusion and the grid for more dark or moodier stuff, kind of more similar to how I have it shot here in this studio. So you've got loads and loads of options here. And again, as well as that, it's so difficult to take apart, you're not going to want to take it apart. So that's the other great thing as well. You don't have to continually set it up because you're not going to be able to. So in conclusion, I'm very well impressed by these lights. So the only real downsides on these is the fan noise from the 200X, the connection point for the 60D, and the fact that the soft boxes use rods as opposed to an umbrella click system. But other than that, you know, if you are looking for a solution and you want to get into the Aputure range, these are your affordable budget options. The reality is the OctaDome 120 is not designed for people doing client work. That's where they have other lights for you for that there. This is literally for home use, and it's massive. It's massive. I'm 170 centimeters tall. It's 120 tall. Hope you like this. Hope you got something from this. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you're new. Ring that bell to get notified every time I put up a new video. Find me on all the social medias under Mark Duffy Photography. And until the next time, later gators.